Good morning, everyone. Thank you. Welcome to Liverpool. Welcome back to Liverpool to many of you, I'm sure. And I'm sure there's some of you that haven't been here for a little while. So it's great to see you all here on this somewhat blustery day. But it's, as I say, wonderful to see you. So I'm just here just very briefly to make a few housekeeping announcements and to say one or two words to the graduates in particular about how the ceremony is going to work this morning. So firstly, in terms of housekeeping, we don't, of course, have a fire drill planned for this morning. That would be slightly ridiculous if we did. So if you do hear the fire alarms, then if you could kindly make your way to the nearest exits, which are either the two exits either side of me here at the front, or the exit that you came in at the back. And ushers will be on hand to show you to the nearest exit and also to the muster point. So, first things first, the graduates. Hopefully, you've all got your name cards with you. Can I see some nods? Can I see some waving of the cards as well? Excellent, excellent job. Wonderful. You will need those because when the time comes for you to be called up for your degree, then you will give your name card to the person, to the dean stood here, who will be introducing you. So make sure you bring that with you when you come up. Don't panic if you do forget. We will have some spares out on the side, and we can sort those out. But it'd be great if you didn't forget and that you brought it with you. So the way it will work for you when you do come up to be presented. Now, normally on these occasions, and I can see quite a few postgraduate awards here, so you may have been at Liverpool degree ceremonies in the past when we have asked you to shake the presiding officer's hand. Now, of course, for reasons which I'm sure I don't need to explain to all you lot, we're not going to ask you to shake anyone's hand today. Instead, we're going to ask you to doff your cap. There's some excited, terrified faces, actually, at the front, thinking, what on earth is this chap talking about? It's easier than it sounds, believe me. So when you come up here and you give your name your name card to the officer, they will say your name. You'll be stood here on this line of white tape. You will walk across on hearing your name. There is also a mark here at the center of the stage, which you'll be able to see when you get up here. You should stop on that mark, turn and face towards the presiding officer here in the center, touch the tip of your mortarboard, nod your head, and then carry on walking in that direction. Okay? So there's no need for any elaborate sort of, bowing and curtsying, and you're very welcome to. I'm not going to stop any of you if that's what you're worried about, but it should be just a straightforward doff of the cap and then carry on walking. Okay. So for everyone else, the guests, I guess an even more important role for you guys is that I want you all to applaud each and every graduate as their name is called and they walk across the stage. Now, in fact, I don't just want you to applaud. I want you to cheer. I want you to whoop. I want you to holler. I want you to give me your loudest round of applause for each of our graduates today. Now, as it is the first ceremony of the day, and maybe we need to sort of get the energy up a little bit, do you want to give it a go now? Do you want to give me your loudest possible round of applause, please? That's not bad, that's not bad. This is a new space, of course, and you're going to test the acoustics out really well if you carry on at that volume, so that's excellent. Slight bit of bad news is that you are going to have to do that about 120 times. But as I say, if you can keep that energy up, then I'm sure we're in for a terrific ceremony this morning. A few final points to note. I'm sure lots of you, all of you, will be wanting to take photos and record parts of the ceremony today. You are, of course, very welcome to do so, but can I ask that if you do, that you try not to stand so that you're not obstructing the views of others. This is always a good opportunity, though, to remind everyone that the ceremony is being recorded and streamed live on the internet. So more terrified faces at the front. And so if anyone not lucky enough to be able to come along today didn't know that, you might want to drop them a message and let them know that they can watch this live now from liverpool.ac.uk/graduation. Another point on photographs very quickly. Again, I'm sure you've all been taking lots of photos across campus today and will continue to do so. Don't forget that for those of you inclined to want to post those on social, on Twitter or Instagram, then if you tag them with the hashtag #LiveUnigrad, then you can pick up free prints of those photos when you return later to the Mountford Hall for your reception. So don't forget to do that. So, without further ado, can I just ask you all to just check your mobile devices and make sure that they are on silent for the duration of the ceremony. And of course, I really, really hope you enjoy it. Thank you. Graduates and guests, can I please ask you all to stand and to give a round of applause for your senior officers of the University of Liverpool.
Please be seated. I declare this congregation for the celebration of our graduates open. So good morning, everyone, and welcome to your graduation ceremony. It's really wonderful to be able to welcome you here after what has been a long wait for many of you. So I'm Professor Tom Whalley, and I'm standing in today for Louise Kenny, the Executive Pro-Vice Chancellor for the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences, who's unable to be here today. So first of all, I want to say what a tremendous privilege and a pleasure it is to be here with you today as we celebrate this important milestone in your lives, together with your family and your fellow students, some of your lecturers, and all those who supported you on your journey to graduating from the University of Liverpool. Now, the contribution made by the university to the community and by the Faculty of Health and Life Sciences to the future of healthcare and its development is reflected in the rich range of degrees that we have represented here today. So we have medics, we have physician's assistants, and lots of postgraduate students, masters of research, doctors of medicine, and PhDs across a wide range of specialist topics. And I'm told we have one architect as well, and you're very welcome too. So with such a wide diversity of learning outcomes and future plans, it's perhaps notable what you have in common. And not the least thing you have in common is how you might feel today, having come here after a particularly precious day after such a long wait. So it's a day to celebrate your achievements. It's a day to thank your family and your friends for their support. And maybe it's a day to reflect. So when I qualified in medicine over 40 years ago, I remember my graduation day. I felt, on the one hand, relieved and proud that I'd finished my studies. I felt I was going to miss my student days as I moved on to something a bit more serious. And I was a bit nervous about what the future had in store for me. I certainly didn't anticipate that one day I'd be standing on this side of the lectern talking to you, probably the most gorgeously pressed person in the room. So, but for you, of course, it's all been different, because you've been students, and now many of you as health professionals, at what's been the most extraordinary time in recent history. Students in universities all over the country and all over the world have been hard hit by the disruption to their education brought about by the pandemic. And your later university experience has been very different to what you expected and imagined, and at times it will have felt extremely tough. Your experience and your well-being were always at the forefront of our decision-making and thinking. But over the last few months of your course, we had to think hard about so many decisions about your teaching arrangements, how to complete your placements, even about things like your safety on campus. So we know this hasn't been easy for you. We know that you've had long days and sleepless nights and difficult times exacerbated by these unique global circumstances. Now, COVID-19 has devastated and divided people and continues to do so. But of course, it's brought out some of the best in the human spirit as well. As a faculty, we pride ourselves on facing the problems of society and putting our hands up to say we can help with them. And many of you, as students and subsequently as health professionals, have shown exactly that spirit too. You've modeled the highest values of your noble profession. You've shown care, compassion, resilience, and even courage at many times. You were the people who stepped up 2 years ago at what was one of the most difficult times in the whole history of the NHS. When you moved forward to help the people we serve, you undertook your late clinical placements in the most difficult of circumstances, with no vaccination program at the time, with PPE in short supply, with no one really knowing what they were doing, to be quite honest. So you've stepped up at the most important time in NHS history. And we've received multiple letters of congratulations from Health Education England and other bodies thanking us for the support you've given in that early response to the pandemic and how fantastic it was. And of course, many of you have carried it on since then, over the months and the year. since that time, and you continue to work with dedication and resilience to serve your patients. You know of the enormous respect and warmth of feeling that the person in the street has for what you've achieved, and you have truly been NHS and University of Liverpool heroes, and I'd like to applaud you for that. And for those of you doing postgraduate degrees, you've had to juggle to continue with your studies while you've, in many cases, carried on working in your clinical environments. You've had to deal with exhaustion and the stresses of those jobs, and that's been no small feat. Some of you doing postgraduate degrees perhaps also struggled with issues of lack of access to laboratories or to patients, and your achievements are all the greater because of the difficulties you've faced and you've overcome. One thing is certain, every single one of you here today has shown remarkable spirit and dedication, whatever your discipline. You didn't do it alone, although no doubt there have been many lonely and indeed scary times over the past 2 years. And you did it by supporting one another and by being supported by your fellow health professionals and by your teachers and lecturers here at the university. And of course, most importantly, by your family and friends. So you can all be proud of that. And we in the university, and here I speak for the whole university, the faculty, and particularly for Professor Hazel Scott as the Dean of the School of Medicine, and those of you who had links into other schools, the School of Life Sciences, we're immensely proud of what you've been able to achieve in the most difficult of circumstances, and the way you've demonstrated your adaptability, your perseverance, and a real commitment to others. And we're inspired by you and by what you've achieved over the past 2 years, and indeed in your undergraduate career before that. Now, today is all about you, justifiably so, your achievements and your personal successes, but it's also a day to look forward to the future and to feel excited about your aspirations, your career, or your future study plans. One thing that's clear following the pandemic is we never know what's going to happen next. And what we do know, however, is that advances in science are going to be key to part of dealing with whatever it is the world is going to throw at us. So those of you here are postgraduates, you've spent time with us developing your research skills, perhaps with the view to going on to a career dedicated to research, or perhaps just to help you do your day job better. And while I hope you'll appreciate that, although the timing of your studies has undoubtedly proved challenging, I hope you'll feel that you made the right decision in proceeding to postgraduate education. So the person in the street now understands the importance of research in health and life sciences in a way they never did before. Everybody's an expert in epidemiology. Everyone can talk about the R number and exponential curves and spike proteins and all those things that we've all learned about at short notice. Vaccines and drugs to combat and manage COVID-19 have, of course, been crucial in enabling a return to something like normal life. And all of those were the results of intense health and medical research. So there's going to be a continued need for research into COVID, whether it's about long COVID or effects of the pandemic on mental health, or helping us learn from the pandemic how we can handle lots of other problems, not least inequalities in healthcare. So in your professional careers, you're going to see lots and lots of change. You're going to see diseases come and hopefully go, and there'll be lots of other challenges. So when I qualified over 40 years ago, we did have the acronym AIDS. It stood for autoimmune diseases. No one had heard of HIV. It hadn't been identified when I qualified. So after many years as a fatal diagnosis, it's now become, if not cured, then a manageable condition compatible with a normal life expectancy. When I qualified, the life expectancy of a woman with breast cancer was 41 months, about 35% 5-year survival. Survival today is 75% at 10 years. We haven't conquered either of these issues, but we're doing better, and we'll continue to do better in the future. There are lots of other examples. I could tell you about the first time I ever saw this wonder of medical science, the CT scanner. I was totally awestruck. So there'll be advances in science that will change the outlook of people for the better. And what's going to change in your professional careers? Well, as you entered your final year, no one had heard of COVID-19. And it's not a problem we've solved yet again. Over 100 people dying every day, and there will still undoubtedly be twists and turns in the pandemic. but its outlook has been turned around by advances in medical science in the past 2 years and by the hard work you've done. Certainly during your career, there'll be lots of new technologies. Hopefully these will improve patient outlook in many diseases and conditions, especially as we move towards prevention of disease rather than just treatment, and as the NHS moves from being a sickness service into a true health promotion service. And most of you will spend your careers in the NHS, and it's constantly changing as an organisation, and as most of you have discovered by now, it's not always the easiest place to work in all kinds of ways, not least when the government awards you a measly 3% pay rise, if even that. So, however, the NHS remains, for all its difficulties and its flaws, the best health service in the world, and I know you'll want to play your part in helping it remain so. Some things won't change for you, so I'll flag up some of those. The first is the need to be a lifelong learner. Just as you've been learning all the way through the pandemic, for the rest of your career, you need to commit yourselves to always being curious, always to asking questions, and always striving to do things better. I'll offer you a motto here. The first Latin I'm going to give, I'll give you some more later on. Nisi satis nil optimum. No hisses. Which I'll translate as, only the best is good enough. And then there's the paradox of graduation. So normally when you come to graduation here, we tell you, you're trained, you're now fit to be let loose on the world. But as you've discovered, you've got so much more to learn when you leave here. And you understand how little of us actually know at that time. Those who've contact with patients will know that patients can be your best teachers. I hope you'll always question if in your care of those patients you're doing the right things and if you're doing it as well as you can. But also, forgive yourself when you make mistakes, and you will make mistakes because we all do. So be understanding of human frailty, because you too are human and frail. The second thing that won't change is the need to support one another as friends and as colleagues, because you're members of great professions, and we all share the aim of improving the health and well-being of our patients and of the population, whether that's the people of Liverpool or more globally. Now, I offered you a blue motto a moment ago, so now I'll offer you a red one. You'll never walk alone. So be kind to yourself, be kind to your colleagues as well. Don't fall into the sort of divisive tribalism of it's all the fault of the med reg or the surgeons or whoever. The third thing that won't change is the very core of your profession, and you must never compromise on that. Never compromise on compassion, which is the hardest of all qualities. Never compromise the respect you show your patients or your colleagues, or your own integrity or honesty, or your willingness to go the extra mile, because that's what people need most from you. I said earlier on, be kind to yourself and to your colleagues, but above all, be kind to your patients. You will certainly see the most difficult moment in people's lives, and your patients expect and deserve your complete commitment. There'll be many times when that's hard to give. There'll be times when you're exhausted and you're frustrated and you're having a bad day. But however bad your day, I can guarantee the patient's having a much worse day. So remember that you must always give your patient hope, display a degree of confidence, even perhaps you don't feel it in yourself, because the worst thing that afflicts patients is fear. So maybe when the COVID is past, we should hug and shake hands and maybe offer a shoulder to cry on. The infection control people will hate me saying this. And grab hold of every one of those 1,000 little moments and acts and gestures that can change the lives of patients. The NHS sometimes has a hang-up about counting things all the time, but some of the things that really count can't be counted. So these qualities of compassion and kindness and resilience and even courage are things that you've shown in abundance in the past 2 years. And I'm personally reassured when I look at you that, because I know that I, coming to a certain age, and thousands of you, we can depend on you to deliver those qualities in the future. It's a great privilege to be able to be good to people. And you're privileged to be part of what I called earlier on a noble profession or professions. But those noble professions are also privileged to have you as their members. I have one final piece of advice, which is enjoy your work and your career. It's a great thought to get you out of bed every day to know that what you're doing is actually important and really matters to people. So we hope that today is a day to return to this great city and for you and your guests to receive a warm welcome from the university. We hope that the city of Liverpool will always feel like home whenever you return. You may have chosen to stay here and make the city your home, or you may have already called it home before you joined us in the university. Whatever your relationship with the city, I hope it's to be a place that you remember as somewhere you made friends and created memories that'll last a lifetime. The Victoria Building, that's the one with the clock tower that you saw in the film earlier on, is one of our most recognizable backdrop, and some of you perhaps will have had photographs taken today in front of it despite the wind. And you've probably walked past it a lot and perhaps not noticed a plaque fixed on the Victoria Building, which states for the advancement of learning and the ennoblement of life. And that's the motto of the university, and that's what we've strived to do all the time here. Our aim is to inspire and engage and enable every one of you to fulfill your potential by raising your awareness of what's possible, by challenging you at times, and by helping you to move barriers. You have truly advanced your learning, and you will continue to ennoble life. You've been stretched to think beyond the lecture theatre, the textbook, and the clinic, and you've been encouraged to apply that knowledge to the world around you. Your University of Liverpool education has enabled you to realise just how far you can go and provided you with the skills to get there, and the journey's only just starting. So the university has a long and successful history of graduating inspiring students who, just like you, will go on to do amazing things. And you now join our talented community of past graduates. This is a fundamentally important part of the university, which supports students in lots of ways. You may have experienced some of this during your undergraduate career, mentoring or work placements or lectures. So we hope that you, like many of our past students, will stay in touch with us and help us to guide and support our future students and to help us to broaden their horizons through sharing your experiences with them. Because it's through you that the university is known. You're our greatest ambassadors, and through your achievements and your careers, you'll also become role models and an important source of inspiration for the next generation of graduates. So let's all celebrate today together. Let's thank the lecturers and teachers who've provided you with the training and support to become practical, compassionate, and resilient in your career, with the skills and qualities required to practice in the 21st century today, and more importantly tomorrow, because we don't know what skills are going to be needed tomorrow, but I think you've had a chance to develop those and you've demonstrated that clearly. Let's also thank your family and friends, because today is a day of celebration for them too. So you may be the one who's gone through university, but they've been with you every step of the way. They've shared your ups and downs. They've made sacrifices to get you here. The pandemic has made us truly appreciate our loved ones and the experiences and memories we made together. So we want to take a moment to celebrate the role that your loved ones, I hope many of whom are guests here today, have played in your success. And I hope you'll have time to take a moment to thank them for their support and the sacrifice. So graduates, can I ask you to stand and turn and face your family and friends and applaud them? So despite the challenges of the last 2 years, I hope you'll remember many happy and joyful times during your time here at the University of Liverpool. Never forget how important you are to the university, because you are the beating heart of the university. Without you, all we've got are empty lecture theatres and libraries and just red bricks. So when we work together, the university is the place where discoveries are made, friendships are forged, and lives are changed. And it's when we work together as staff and students that education is truly transformational. So we want to thank you for everything you've achieved during your time here. We look forward to hearing about what you're going to achieve in the future, and we all wish you good luck and every success in the future. Thank you. And it now gives me great pleasure to invite the Dean of the School of Medicine, Professor Hazel Scott, to address the congregation.
Good morning. As Dean of the School of Medicine, I'm thrilled to welcome you back onto campus and to be celebrating with you just now. In preparing for today, I was a little worried that my emotions would get the better of me on seeing you all again. And I must admit that as I stand before you now, that is very much the case. I echo Professor Wally's sentiments, commending the tremendous dedication you have shown in completing your studies and embarking on a professional career during such a time of uncertainty. However, I'm conscious that nearly 2 years on from the start of the pandemic, it's easy to forget just how new, how unsettling, and quite frankly, how scary it all was. The shifting messages, alarming statistics, the scramble for the right PPE, and sourdough starter. In those first planning meetings, as the school leadership team met, I had no doubt that you would take the adjustments to your programs that had to be made in your stride, that we would work together as a school to find the best way forward. But what I didn't know was just how ready you were to do that, and so much more. The burning desire to play your part, to lend a hand, to show in your everyday that healthcare is more than a job or a chosen career path. It is a calling, a vocation, or as the Declaration of Geneva puts it, a dedication of our lives to the service of humanity. Many of you became the newly conceived sub-FY1s, stepping into almost doctor roles months in advance to bolster the NHS frontline. Some took up opportunities also as healthcare assistants and volunteers to help care for patients in our communities. And now you are back with us, from clinical settings up and down the country and beyond, from a health service continuing to face the demands and challenges of an ongoing pandemic. We are immensely proud of what you have achieved, of the difference you continue to make, and deeply grateful to those who have supported you, your family and friends, whether here today or with you in spirit, for everything they did to enable you to take those very first steps into university, and for all the encouragement that they have given along the way. If the last couple of years have taught us anything, it is, I believe, the importance of our care for the NHS we serve, for the teams around us, and for ourselves. Caring for our NHS through vaccination, through ensuring rotas are staffed, through all the extra steps to enable creaking IT systems to deliver. Care for others in speaking out and up, in asking for help and checking in with a how are you, and how are you really? And care of yourself, trusting that you can rise to the challenge, that you can make a difference, and taking time for those important connections and for all those other talents that make you who you are. For us at the school and at our partner trusts across the region, we have seen with our own eyes what you are capable of, and we are proud to look to you as our esteemed colleagues as we move forwards together to the big, bright futures that await you and the fascinating developments in healthcare that you will shape. The doctors that I know so well here today amongst you are so much more than the title doctor conveys. You are the bright, knowledgeable, resourceful, dedicated, team-playing, fun-loving combination that marks you as a Liverpool doctor. I do hope you will continue to connect with us at the university, to come back and volunteer with us, research with us, teach with us, and inspire the next generation to follow in your footsteps. For now, my warmest congratulations and best wishes for the future. Pro-Vice-Chancellor, it gives me tremendous pleasure to present to you the following graduates from the class of 2020. Francesca Johnson de Souza Brito. Akos Varga. Jane Ardrey. Frances Sarah Teresa Greeny. Sarah Allen. Ifigenia Giacomacchi. James Cameron Waddington. Romana Nusrat Hussain. Anna Hilera. Galia Obeid F. Al-Nafaye. Riham El Saiti. Paulina Sandrovich Goral. Andrew Stewart Davison. Megan Helen Green. Curtis John Hegarty. Bethany Justin Dalby. Lorna Hind. Abukar Abdullah Ahmed. Sorry. Alexandra Reshutek. Abigail Haley Ramona Pickett. Shama Eletwana. Gemma Farrington. Elizabeth Ann Affleck. Jessica Macken. Chloe King. Ellie Allman. Angela Sowe Kwan. Glesney Rian Pugh. Alexander David Holloway. Sarah Duran. Alexandra Jane Nelson. Giles James Carey. Abby Drury. Catherine Molesdale. Rachel Heaton. Ellie Clark. Mohammed Bilal Yassin. Gemma Louise Sutton. Calvin Lee. Piers Harrison. Devon Wheatley. Emily Francesca Hutchinson. Grace Rimmer. Tony Ann Ashley Williams. Emma Jane Carver. Kelsey Lawson. Katrina Edwards. Monique Campbell. Mark Jonathan Groves. Jack Berry. Daniel Jake Palmer. Manisha Patel.
I would now like to invite Professor Gavin Brown, Pro-Vice Chancellor for Education, to present one of the university's Faculty Learning, Teaching and Student Experience Awards.
Good morning, everyone. It gives me great pleasure to present today's Learning, Teaching and Student Experience Award. These awards recognise, value and reward staff who have made an outstanding contribution to innovation in teaching and supporting learning. Our university has numerous examples of exceptionally talented and committed staff who work hard to ensure that our students receive an excellent experience whilst here at university. Teaching and learning at Liverpool is undertaken within a culture of research excellence, and these awards reflect the value we place on providing students with a high-quality educational experience worthy of a leading Russell Group institution. Our award winners being honoured today are recognised for an initiative designed to help prepare final year students for safe clinical practice as junior doctors. LiveDoc Sim was launched in 2019 and brought together learning technologists, medical educators, clinicians and professional services staff to create a large-scale conference-style event that was totally unique to the School of Medicine. Using brand new facilities, including a simulated ward at the Royal College of Physicians building, the four-day event encompassed a wide range of workshops that provided students with the knowledge, skills and tools to practice real clinical scenarios in a safe, simulated environment. Feedback from the event was extremely positive, with students noting that the simulations were realistic, challenged them at an appropriate level, and left them feeling better prepared for practice as a foundation doctor. LiveDoc-Sim has since become the flagship event for the School of Medicine's simulation department. Collecting the award today is team leader, Dr. Vidhi Taylor-Jones.
Congratulations.
Pro-Vice-Chancellor, I'm delighted to present to you the remaining graduates from the class of 2020. Hello. Just wait a second. Aishwarya Avula. Imogen Elizabeth Allen. Poppy Fiona Brown. Enrica Barnes. Georgia Elizabeth Bailey. Sevar Sankar Reddy Dwarampudi. Riyanga Biju. Molly Bowman. Caris Emily Allen. Deepti Balaji. Tamashri Dewan. Charles Benjamin De Silva. Adesh Kaur Ajmani. Lowry Rachel Evans. Madeline Ray Baxter. Oyen Dinapre Armoralan. Shifra Daly. Mohsen Akhtar. Jenna Doherty. Amir Al-Daraji. Good to see you. Thanks for speaking. Jihi Yoon. May Al-Muasib. Zayed Ahmed Azam. Hannah Elizabeth Earnshaw. Matthew Paul Blackburn. Maya Anand Dyson. Shefali Arya. Lucy Ruth Fell. Katie Shannon Doyle. Connor Doherty. Benjamin Charles Cross. Beatrice Anna Pieri. Grace Louise Keegan. Sana Anik. Hamish Richard Baxter. Jordan John Brooks. Patrick Anthony Monaghan Broadley. Rachel Leah Brennan. Hannah Louise Brown. Stephanie Jane Cheetham. Jenna Nicole Blackaby. Harriet Bolam Ellis. Holly Georgina Clark. Bryony Rose Broadbent. Leila Al Hamid. Sana Ahmed. Lauren Elizabeth Batty. Eleanor Faye Austin. Bethan Chloe Chadwick. Faye Shayo Ajayi. James Lee. Yuki Chong Hok Yen. Sundas Butt. Last but not least. Ekaterini Efteriadou.
So congratulations to all our graduates. And I'd like now to invite a new graduate to address the congregation. So I'd like to ask Ji Hee Yoon to come forward, please, and tell us perhaps and reflect on her experience.
Pro Vice-Chancellor, distinguished guests, family, friends, and fellow graduates, I'm so happy to see you all and very honoured to stand here today to speak and to congratulate you on completing your degrees under the strangest of circumstances. It is never too late to have the opportunity to celebrate a graduation together in this way, and I hope today will allow us to rekindle special memories. In the audience, I have many esteemed colleagues from medicine, many of whom I formed a lifetime worth of memories with. I learned that sometimes you can't appreciate the value of a moment until it becomes a memory, and I have fond memories of my time at Liverpool School of Medicine. These fond memories are because we were able to bond with colleagues and come together as a team. And I realized during my first year as a doctor that teamwork really does make the dream work. I would like to thank everyone at the School of Medicine and the clinical teams across Trust who helped prepare us for what we're about to face in the best way possible, even if that was to stretch us in ways we could never have imagined. Back in 2020, when I was preparing a few words for our graduation, I actually prepared this sentence. My dear terrified graduates, you're about to enter the most uncertain, however, most thrilling period of your lives. Looking back, I couldn't have predicted it any better. Most new graduates are nervous on the first days of work, not knowing who their colleagues will be or how the system works. And of course, we had the added challenge of doing all of this in the face of a pandemic of unknown proportions and unforeseen circumstances. I am so proud that not only did we find our way through those first nervous days as junior doctors, rocking up in our new scrubs, but that we were also on the front line of the pandemic as student doctors before a vaccine was developed, volunteering during the first lockdown. Being on the front line, helping patients and wider communities has brought great satisfaction and has made us the people we are today. We were thrown in at the deep end, but are all the better for it. I am certainly a more resilient, empathetic, and confident doctor. And I realized why I wanted to go into medicine is to help people. Whether you are celebrating becoming a doctor today or a physician associate or earning your master's or PhD, I feel these past 2 years have epitomized why we have chosen a career in medicine. When I was preparing for this speech, I came across this lovely quote by late actor Chadwick Boseman who said, "Whatever you choose for a career path, remember the struggles along the way are only meant to shape you for your purpose." One final thing, be bold, be courageous, be your best. G signing out.
Thank you very much, Jihi, for those kind words for the university and for your colleagues, and congratulations on everything you've achieved. So we're coming to a close, and my final reflection on the day and thoughts about where you are up to. When I was a medical student, and you can all roll your eyes at this point, many years ago, we had lots of consultants who were always he's, and they'd been through the Blitz. They'd worked in London at the height of the Second World War or in Liverpool, and they can tell you all kinds of stories about the night the Luftwaffe bombed Matron's bedroom and all those interesting things, and they would do it at the drop of a hat all the time. And we as medical students used to roll our eyes and think, oh, here he goes again, as there always was a he. Now, when the pandemic happened, it struck me that you were having your Blitz moment, a day you reflect on for the future. And those old guys, they had some right to talk about their experience in the Blitz. They'd earned it. And in 40 years' time, you'll probably bore your junior staff to tears. But you've earned the right to do it for all you've achieved. Congratulations. So my last task is to close the ceremony formally. So I declare this congregation for the celebration of our graduates closed. There's now a Latin prayer, and for those of you who aren't routine Latin speakers, I'll translate it for you as we go. Salve sit universitas nostra, may our university prosper, quod precantes consergamus, and praying thus, let us all stand together. So I'd like to congratulate all the graduates today for the fantastic things they've achieved, and look forward to the fantastic things they're going to achieve in the future. Well done.